Welcome to A Friday Reads, where I talk about what I read, what I'm reading, what I hope to get to next, and it's spring, which means it's glorious outside, which means people are doing their yard work, which means my neighbors have taken out the dirt bikes and are doing laps. The guy who owns that weird muscle car could come home at any moment, so if you hear loud noises, it's a loud time of year. Such is life. I have finished one book, I have DNF'd another, and I'm more than halfway through one, and we're gonna talk about a very good movie that you need to go see. It was so good. I'm accidentally very thematic in some of my media consumption. I do love when that happens. I never plan it. Let's discuss the first DNF of the month. I don't think I've had too many DNFs this year, but I was good to myself. So I tried Service Model by Adrian Tchaikovsky because it's one of the Hugo books, and I just wanted to try a bunch of them out. So I started the audiobook for this on Friday, which the author narrates himself, and I think he does a fairly good job. I have no issues with a lot of this. I was just extremely whelmed. And I was also very like, wait, how is there still so much story left? How are we not more done? Was essentially my brain's headcanon. So this is about a robot who is a valet, and what happens when he no longer has anyone to valet for, and the state of the world. And the state of the world is, the vibes aren't good. The vibes are bad in terms of where humans are in the world. And thematically speaking, it felt a little on the nose, and in some ways it was on the nose to be part of the theme. Like, it was meant to, assist the theme. The repetitive nature of this process and the lack of efficiencies that exist was meant to be, I think, a part of the theme, but it was getting old for me. I wasn't finding it cute anymore. It wasn't being, sarcastically funny for me anymore. And then I went and I looked to see people who love this book, why they love this book. Just to see if maybe there's just never going to be a chance that I would love it for the same reasons as other people. And I kept seeing how many times people thought it was so funny. And I realized I was having a Gideon the Ninth moment again, where I'm like, wait, this is funny? I think it was satirical. But I think when I like doing these whole themes of purpose of life, cog in the machine, inefficiencies and what they mean, and why society always has systems that don't seem to work quite right, I like things more like Severance. This was fine. I feel like I've read stuff like this before, and I had no idea how this could end in a way that wowed me. Other than, it would have been just a 3-star experience. I could have powered through, but for why? And so after 40%, I left Uncharles behind and moved on. I'm cautiously curious. I was half curious about there's and this is also a journey story, which is it's kind of one of those Odyssey stories where this robot goes on a journey and goes to different places, and in each new place learns a new thing. Kind of. It's that structure. And there was a place he got to visit. And I'm this could be interesting. And then I was just oh, we're going to take it this route. That route I find less interesting. And even then, it was only a 0.5-star interest. It wasn't huge. So yeah. The book I finished, which I'm so happy about, because we talked last week about how my brain was I don't like that I haven't finished this book. And so I did. I finished Someone You Can Build a Nest In. I did, near the end, immersion read and do the audio because I needed to. And it grew on me a little. I do think the narration style is meant to mimic the cadence of a monster. It's just a little jarring and feels why are you reading that sentence that way? And it grew on me. It grew on me, and I was enjoying this book enough to finish it, but I kind of really wanted to I was kind of done. It had started to overstay it's welcome for me. I like it. I don't love it as much as my prediction that the Hugo's books are all going to be 4 stars for me is it's unfortunately becoming very true. 4 stars is not bad. It's just that it's also not exceptional. Right? It is a good story, and I'm glad I consumed it. There's a lot of care, heart, and craft that goes into a 4-star book for me. It's just that, I've been reading a lot of 4 stars this month, and I'm getting a little exhausted by it. I really want a great book, and I haven't quite found that yet. So that's why I started leaning on the audiobook. I will say that I really like the final part, if you've read this book. I think the falling action time we get is really amazing, and I wish the story was more like that. I think it was a little too plot motivated for so much of it. I wanted it to be a little more character motivated, especially with the themes, although it is very character motivated. I don't want to say it's not. This is a story about recovery from abuse. A lot like a book I read last week, The Wings Upon Her Back. I don't know why. I have accidentally reading things with similar themes. And it's also about like relearning your history and learning what is actually right or wrong versus like what you thought was right and wrong. It was hard seeing so much of the verbal abuse and the implied physical abuse. I think I wanted, like, the falling action, we get more of the quote-unquote romance. And this is not, people call this a monster romance. And there is a romantic relationship at the center of this. But I think a lot of people are not going to think it's a romance when they read this. Even though it does, like, it does hit the boxes of what a romance definitely is. And part of it is, this is a very emotional relationship. The physicality of this relationship is not important. I think actually both characters, if it's not explicitly said, it's very heavily implied are asexual, okay? Which is, I think, great. I think romances should be allowed to be that way, but since that's not the norm, I just don't think the average person reading a romance, especially a monster romance, is going to anticipate that this is a romance. This felt more like a character story. Like, yes, these two people are together, they're forming romantic ties, and they work together to overcome the situation they're in. But it's not like this story is about how they fell in love, like, ish, but not like, I don't know. I guess I wouldn't give this to a romantasy girly at all. And I would hesitate to, like, Bitter Medicine is something I call, like, a fantasy romance. That's more like a contemporary romance in a fantasy world. Like, feels like a fantasy book with fantasy book problems. And yes, a core motivating plot point is that these two people met each other and they form a strong emotional connection. So, I don't know, just in terms of vibes. But I do think there's a lot of care in this. I think the world is very fun. There was a moment where I was like, I did not see that coming. Fascinating. I was very like, that was when it was going to drip to like a 3.5. But then that thing happened. I'm like, nah, that's good. That's good. I like what you did there. So yeah, I liked it. Alas, didn't love it. But I think it's a very fun project. And so I'm glad the award season kind of put it on my radar. Because I had not read it. The thing that I have read a lot of, Buffalo Hunter Hunter. I had the sense before going into this that this would be a revenge horror, and I am correct. This is about a person who hunts people who hunt the buffalo, because if you don't know about the history of America, or specifically the plains in North America, there used to be a bunch of these, and a bunch of really bored white men killed them all. And it's actually both impressive and horrifying that they were able to accomplish such a feat. And so we are in Montana. I love me a horror in Montana. I love that inadvertently, what's today's date when I'm filming this? April 23rd. Right now, the book's on April 28th. I am like in sync with this book. Easter happens here. Easter was happening for me. I love when I accidentally read a Stephen Graham Jones in the time in which it's at, because he's very intentional about the timing of a book. Like the J. Daniels series, it's like, yeah, this is summer. Yeah, this is Halloween, etc. So I'm in sync with the time, and I knew nothing else about this, so I don't even know what's on the front of this. So this is very mixed media. I don't know. I think, honestly, it could count for the, like, everything is journal entries prompt for the bingo board. So we have these diary entries of a pastor, and then we are hearing the story of Good Stab. Do we know anything else in the front of this book? Yeah, so, okay, we don't know a lot about it. All right. Although he tells us fairly early on. But we have this pastor this is like, Stephen Graham Jones is so good at character voices. Okay, he is so good at character voices. So this pastor's voice is unlike anything I've read by Stephen Graham Jones, but it's like so innately like, yeah, that's a crotchety, limping pastor who's like eating all these foods, and he's writing about food a lot, and he's being very like, I don't know, he's trying to, like, authentically write about the indigenous people around him and chronicle stuff, and he's just an interesting character. And he also, the way he writes his paranoia as the book goes on is also very chilling. But primarily, most of the story is Good Stab, who I cannot tell you a lot about, because apparently that's meant to be a mystery. I have no idea if people know what type of supernatural element is supposed to be in this book before they pick it up. I didn't, but I found out very early on, and I was like, oh, that's very exciting. Regardless, Good Stab has a story to tell. And the pastor keeps learning about this story and keeps being freaked out by this individual. Like, what is this person doing? Why are they here? Why is their English so good? And is their story real? Like, their story sounds outlandish. And so Good Stab's telling his story. And now I'm at this part, and I'm wondering where the climax is, because I feel like I'm about to hit it. But it also feels like that's a lot of falling action. So I don't know. The pacing of horror books can always go all over the place. This is definitely a more meditative horror, and the things that I find horrifying about it are definitely laced in the historical themes. This is the 1800s, this is Montana, this is when we're, going back on treaties, we are destroying the ecosystem, indigenous people cannot live the way that they used to. And there is a lot of overlap between the theme of what do you compromise to keep your identity as a culture and what Good Stab has to go through. And that is the most chilling, horrifying thing I have consumed in a long time. Now, is it like jump scare horror? Is it like, oh, I'm looking around at creaky sounds in my house horror? No, but it is a horrifying idea as I learn more and more about what Good Stab is going through. And I'll leave it at that. Very vague, because I don't think you're supposed to know what I know. Although if you know like certain words, by the time you get to like the first chapter of that part, you'll get a sense for it. And so now let's pivot to, I had another historical horror I consumed this weekend, so another overlap, where I went to the movies and I saw Sinners. And when I say this is one of the best movies that I have seen in theaters in like, maybe since Everything Everywhere All at Once, like I don't even know. It's hard to even express. Like, and a part of this is I went to go see this because I wanted to see a Southern Gothic horror. And I think I knew there were vampires because it was like alluded to in like the trailer because they're like teeth and blood on someone's mouth. So I'm like, cool, I want Southern Gothic vampire horror. Let's go. And it's Michael B. Jordan, who is a great actor and not unattractive. And I vaguely knew Ryan Coolidge's name. Like, I have seen Black Panther. I don't think I've actually seen any of his other works, but they've always been on my list. I've always wanted to watch Creed, but I haven't watched the Rocky films. And then there are some other ones that I've been wanting to get into, like, is it Fruitvale or something like that? Regardless, I really didn't know what this was going to be. And if you love music, you have to see this. Like, you have to. This is one of the best soundtracks of a movie I've ever... And it's not a musical, even though it wouldn't be the end of the world if it was a musical. I don't know why there's this hatred, but it's not a musical. Like, it's not... Because I think the difference between performances happening in a movie and a musical is that a musical, it doesn't feel like the performances are organic. This is about setting up what's it called? A jute house? I don't even know. I can't even say the word. I don't know why. It's just a place where people can drink and party at night. It's just a club. It's just like a version of a club in the 1930s Mississippi. And so this is all taking place in the course of a day, and we have this place, and so music happens there. And so that's like where you get the music, and it's just... Oh, the music part is so good. The horror part is also, like, thematically horrifying. Like, the questions that this movie is asking, I'm like, oh! Because, it could just easily be a monster flick, and you can consume it as just a monster flick. Like, it is fun that way. But it's so historically rich in its intentionality. This town feels lived in, and it feels lived in a way that, recognizes the fact that not only white and black people lived in the South. And... a little bit it's about race, but it's not all about race. It's also just about how you want to live your life. What does freedom mean to you? It has so many layers, but also at its core, the pictures and the music together make my heart good, okay? It's so pretty. So what I'm saying is, if you're scared of horror movies, I don't think this is scary, but it is gory. So if you don't like visual gore, it's a vampire movie. Yeah, it's got some blood, it's got some stabby stabs, yeah. It's also a very funny movie. This movie has some hysterical lines, and it's just so aggressively human. I love it so much. Like, most of the time, horror movies will incorporate sex because we have to compare sex to morality, to horrors, etc. It's a common thematic through line. Here, when sex is used, it's in such a messy, human way that I'm just like, huh. I feel like I'm invading our private moment. Okay, cool, I'm glad we left. And it's just handled with care, and it's just organic. It's genuine. Like, yes, this is how humans interact with each other. At least these humans. Like, maybe not you, but it's like, I believe that this is an authentic interaction. People are acting their butts off in this film. It's so good. So, I am a jump scare baby. I jump scared once. So there is like a jump scare. But like also seeing in the theaters, everyone laughed at the right points. We were all just like, oh my God, why are you not being smart? You need to be smarter. You know, like how we all are in horror movies. Like, so it's still genre. It's still camp. But it's also so rich. It's everything I love. Like whenever I talk about like River Solomon's works or Shannon Redo or Victor Laval, like that's this movie. Okay? So yeah, it's just a PSA. Go consume that. It's great. Other thing I've consumed is I've started Doctor Who season 2. Well, season 2 of the Disney thing. I don't know what to call any of them. With the new Doctor, and it's fun. I'm having a grand old time. It's got some classic Doctor Who tropes. I'm sure it won't completely fulfill any of my questions, but that's okay. That's par for the course with Doctor Who. What am I going to read next? I have like a week. So I want to finish this, right? Like I'm going to finish this. And then this is my last obligation read of the month, and I would really like to get it done. So I finally have the audiobook back for this, and people have been reading it. I also want to finish Broken Stars, which I haven't touched in a while. And if I'm feeling extra ambitious, maybe I'll throw in a contemporary romance, or like, I never did get to touch like a physical arc this month, but I just think I have to accept that's not in the cards, and that's okay. Like in reality, I'm on track to finish 8 books this month, which is a normal month for me. And I knew April would be a lot. So it is what it is. And honestly, you know, like I read a lot of service models. So like, it's not like I'm not reading. I just haven't had like, oh, March was so good. And this month is just like, it suffers in comparison. It suffers. Anyways, let me know what you're reading, doing, watching. Have you seen Sinners? Do you agree? Is it not awesome? And if you've seen Sinners, you know what connection I maybe wanted to connect to a different book in this video. Regardless, if you just want to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, leave a vampire emoji or a bat. And otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.